Alrighty, testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2. What's going on, chat? Lots of news, lots of updates, lots of changes going on, huh? So yeah, lots of changes. All right, get it out of your system. Get it out of your system so we can move on to the important news. All right, I guess the first thing we get into, we got to talk about Evo. We got to talk about it. Yes, we do have the official Evo game lineup. Street Fighter 6, Guilty Gear Strive, Dragon Ball FighterZ, Tekken 7, KOF 15, Melty Blood, Mortal Kombat 11, and the big one, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So there were definitely some big surprises in this. You know, I was really looking forward to potentially seeing DNF Duel on the big stage. DNF Duel got super shafted for Evo. It released around a month or so prior to Evo 2022, and then it didn't make it to that Evo under, I guess, the decision that it's too soon to know if the game is established enough. Maybe the publishers weren't playing ball. I don't know the details behind it, but it was on a rocky start to begin with. And then I thought it would make it this year. I mean, there's still the ArcSys tour going on. I really thought it would be a part of this, and it's just not present at all. Not present at all. But no surprise, Street Fighter 6 will be there. Street Fighter 6 will be released in time. Guilty Gear Strive being there was no surprise. Tekken 7, no surprise. DBFZ was a questionable one. I think DBFZ at Evo is always sick, but it runs forever. It's not the best tournament game to run because it's a very long game. So it's kind of on its last phase. It was a little questionable if it would make it or not. KOF 15, I think it was a shoo-in. Melty Blood making it. It was likely, but not guaranteed. Mortal Kombat 11 still kicking is actually very interesting because NRS has completely abandoned their competitive scene since COVID happened, and they haven't announced their next update or next entry into the NRS fighting game lineup, which is actually a little bit off schedule for them. I think they're like a year behind. I have a feeling that there might be an announcement at Evo, so we'll see. But of course, the big one here is obviously Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. MVC3 released originally, I believe, in late 2010, early 2011. So this game is about 12 years old, still kicking. And Marvel has had a huge resurgence since the COVID era. Marvel Infinite released in 2017, kind of had an extremely lackluster launch. It had its one tour season, ended it as this sideshow to Capcom Cup 2017. If you don't remember, Battle for the Stones was a thing for Marvel Infinite. They did the grand finals, the one set of grand finals as like the warm-up act for Street Fighter V Top 8 at Capcom Cup, which was very strange. It was like a fever dream. I can barely recall Marvel Infinite being a game. After that, Marvel died down for a bit, but with the COVID era and the emergence of Parsec as a means to play online, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 has been very active in the community due to people like Tong with TNS, Tampa Never Sleeps, putting in a lot of effort to organize community events, and the community is really supporting the game. And I had even been playing a little bit of Marvel 3 here and there, and it's been doing well at other offline events throughout the year, like CEO and Combo Breaker. So I'm thrilled to see this. I mean, it just shows that community effort can actually prop up a game and get it the spotlight that it deserves if the community is willing to put in the work. So that's huge. That's huge. And I think Marvel vs. Capcom 3, UMVC 3, is like the best spectator game of all time. I will definitely be watching this. I really enjoy watching Marvel 3. So yeah, these players actually do have a pretty big incentive to play as well, because of course it's not just the games that are going on here. There are some details that you might have missed. Details like new additions to Evo include all tournaments with a 25,000 minimum prize pool. So every one of these games will have a minimum prize pool of 25,000. So the way I'm understanding here, and they keep using the same language, so I'm pretty confident in this interpretation, is that if by some chance the number of entrants goes over 2,500, there will be more than $25,000 in the prize pool, but they will supplement the prize pool if the entrants are under that, so that it is minimum 25,000. So it's not a pot bonus. You do have to pay $10 to the prize pool when you register the pot to enter each game, which I think is good even if there's a minimum guaranteed prize pool, because that discourages people from registering for games that they don't want to play. You could argue maybe it comes off a little greedy to not just put the pot bonus on top of that. Sure, maybe I would have preferred a pot bonus on top of the regular pot money. But basically, there's a chance that Street Fighter, for example, if Street Fighter gets 3,000 entrants, Street Fighter 6, then the prize pool will still be 30,000. But every other game, they're probably not going to get 2,500 entrants, so the pot money won't equal 25,000. So Evo will make up the difference and support the prize pool so that they are a minimum of $25,000. That's for all these games, so people are going to be eating. However, there are also more changes involved in these numbers. So I think you can place the money good. That's the spirit that Evo is here to celebrate. Evo awards cash prizes to the top 6 places, starting at 25,000. Top 6 places. So they did announce that they're doing away with the Evo top 8 format. And they said that they're doing that in order to ensure that the show doesn't run overtime and they don't, mess up their schedule, because top 8s do take quite some time and they have 8 games to run, 8 main games to run. And I got to admit, it hurts a little. It hurts a little. The idea of the top 8, I'm pretty sure originated due to Evo. So the prestige of making it the top 8 is based on how Evo structured their events. I'm a little sad to see that. It's tradition. It doesn't really have too much practical application. But basically, you could potentially get 7th at Evo this year and get no money and not get a medal and not make it to the stage. The idea of the top 8 is pretty sacred in my opinion. So I love to see the minimum guaranteed prize pools. That's awesome to see, because this hasn't existed before. There have been larger prize pools in Evo's past for games like Street Fighter, NRS, and I believe even Tekken, because the developers or the publishers added the money to the prize pools. So Evo 2019 for Street Fighter 5, for example, had around a 50K plus prize pool, because Capcom put money into the prize pool as like a super premiere on top of the people who actually entered the regular pot money. So this will probably be less money for Street Fighter 6 this year than in a previous Evo 2019. However, we know how fickle that is, because at Evo 2022, Capcom put no money in there, and there was like 1,000 something entrants, so the prize pool is around $10,000 for Evo 2022. So Evo is making an effort to get their own funding and prize pools to support the games, regardless of the publishers. Because, for example, Capcom is not going to provide any money for UMVC3. They're just not going to do that, right? These other games, they're probably not going to put up that much money either. But a game that is no longer being pushed by the publisher or the developer, what incentive do they have to actually support the prize pool? So Evo has made moves, as you can see here, presented by Chipotle, to get real sponsors to help fund the events and put money into the players' pockets. And this was a big criticism of Evos in the past, was that just no money, right? It's like the prize payouts for the World Championship of Fighting Games, the biggest event of the year, were honestly embarrassing to some degree. And that was the big talking point, especially after Evo 2022, when there were so many tournaments that had no developer support whatsoever. This is a good sign. It does suck that it comes with the caveat of being for top 6. I really don't like that. In general, I know my position has always been pretty vocal about this, where I don't like pushing prize pools towards the top. I believe that it's much better to distribute prize pools more evenly and pay out more players to make things more sustainable. However, it's not anyone's tournament's job to help make the player economy more sustainable so that you can have a more steady pool of players who can compete and survive so that they can focus their time on competing. Evo can be the exception to that, in my opinion. Like, Evo, to me, is allowed to be top heavy and focused on paying at the top. So I don't love it. I would much prefer top 8 payouts and all that, but it is what it is. And yeah, I agree. The main reason they're doing top 6 is time constraints. I do agree with that. Like, it's very obvious that the number one issue is time constraints. But in order to make the show complete, they can't just run top 7, like the losers semis or losers quarters off stream, and then give them a medal off stream, and and give them the money but then do the rest on stream. It just doesn't work that way. So I kind of understand the concessions that they made here. I don't love it. But I see the practicality of it. Like, I understand to a degree. I still think it's a great direction overall. The fact that they actually have sponsors are actually going to be paying the players. It's not huge money. It's not life-changing money, but it's a step in the right direction for sure, especially after last year's Evo. I mean, they had to make moves. The entire talking point about last year's Evo was how nobody made any money. I think this year, you're pretty much guaranteed to make more money winning Evo than staying home and restreaming it. For a lot of the people who got first place at Evo, if they were, on their stream game, they could have potentially had made more money staying home and restreaming. So I think they at least nailed that. We don't know the pricing for Street Fighter 6. Yeah, we know that Street Fighter 6 is having additional pricing from the tour. I don't think there's any mention of tour-related pricing at all in Evo. So until we get clarification from Capcom or these other publishers about potential pop bonuses, let's not assume there's any extra money in here. So yeah, they announced the platforms too. I was extremely disappointed to see this at first. Everything's rocking on PS4 for the most part, including Street Fighter 6, which this is the first reminder that Street Fighter 6 is supposedly releasing on PS4. But yeah, I do see, Nexon, I do see you got the clarification here. Evo 2023 press release said PS4 for Street Fighter 6, but the dedicated Street Fighter 6 will say PS5. Which one is it? PS5. Thank goodness. I'm still of the opinion that Street Fighter 6 on PS4 isn't happening. I don't think this is actually going to happen. They announced it in the beginning, but they've been radio silent on all fronts since then. None of the betas have been for this generation of consoles. I don't want it to come out on PS4. Call me elitist, call me exclusionary. I want the community to be forced to move on to the next generation of hardware. I'm sick of this console. This console is garbage. I'm really hoping we do PS5. So no, apparently this needs to be updated. Apparently Rick clarified here that Evo 2023 for Street Fighter 6 will be on PS5. So this needs to be updated. Thank goodness. It might not be any better though. I don't know. Street Fighter 5 runs better on PS4 to a degree than PS5. PS5 has less frame drops and less lag. Or sorry, it has less sporadic frame drops and lag resulting from frame drops. However, the input delay is higher on PS5. So it's about like stability versus peak performance, right? Like if you care about input delay, it's actually better to play on PS4 than on PS5 for Street Fighter 5. So who actually knows how the performance will be for Street Fighter 6? And Street Fighter 6 is definitely a laggy game. I really hope they improve that. Apparently word on the street is it has 6 frames of input delay and you can feel it. So I hope that gets fixed. So yeah, Evo's coming back. Don't really have much else to say. I think it's awesome that they got a Chipotle sponsor. I think it's awesome that there's a guaranteed prize pool. I'm hoping we get some more money from the tours, and I'm looking forward to Evo being back in action and watching some UMBC 3. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.